All right, everybody, welcome back. Chicago Hockey Radio post-game show. Hawks lose 4-2 to the Minnesota Wild, and my Buffalo Bills in heartbreaking fashion lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. Terrible, brutal night for sports, but here we are. We're still here. Yeah, I don't know how you feeling, fellas. Lee Grossman, Justin Lynch, Tassos Kirkos, all here live and in color right now. How you guys doing?
I can't believe we have to watch another Chiefs Super Bowl, man. I don't know. I can't take another one. I still will watch it. I'll say I can't take it, and then I won't watch it, but I still will watch it because it's a Super Bowl. But my goodness gracious, man, not to be Mr. Conspiracy Theorist over here, but I swear to God, that league is so rigged, dude. The Chiefs every year, if the refs and Mahomes, like that's my conspiracy theory, man. That's why if it's not the Bears, I'm not watching. I don't care, unless it's just the big games. But yeah, it's kind of half watching that, half watching this game. I'm obviously go to college in the Cleveland area, so there's a lot of Bills fans here in addition, and not just cheering against the Chiefs, right? They actually want the Bills, so I'm sure campus will be pretty depressing tomorrow. But yeah, that sucked, and then the Hawks game also sucked. But the first two periods sucked. The third period did not. I mean, we didn't come away with the W, but Frank the Tank goal, 4-game point streak for him. I thought he was once again a standout for the Hawks. Del Mastro, I believe he had his first career point. Bedard point. So good things there, right? When you're losing, but the young guns are producing, that's good stuff. But I think first we got to talk about those first 40 minutes because what the hell was that? 5 shots on goal. Are you kidding me? And Hockey Fights Cancer Night? Just an absolutely pathetic effort those first two periods, boys.
The first two periods were so bad that it was like really hard for me to watch the game while this Chiefs Bills game was going on. Taylor Swift cooking up a dynasty over there in Kansas
Oh my
City.
God. Can they just break up already, man? That's why I want them to lose so they could break up and she could get her next 3 albums worth of content because that's how she's gone through her entire career there. So, keep feeding the cultists over there.
I was on Kansas City money line tonight, so I didn't have that bad of an evening as far as the football game's concerned.
Well, it's easy to bet the Chiefs because they're in the league's pocket, man. So that's smart thinking, actually.
I mean, dude, it's like these people like lose their minds saying that the game's it's rigged, it's rigged, it's rigged. Every postseason, it's rigged. And then these are the same guys that are taking Bills -1.5 or Bills +1.5.
They're not learning. Vegas loves the
Like,
Chiefs, boys.
it's like these masochists that just like love just like torturing themselves. It's like, dude, just bet on Mahomes. Anyway, that's NFL talk for you. That's NFL's rigged Roger Goodell talk.
Yeah, it's because you forget a Hawks game happened tonight with all that going on. Like it felt weird watching the Hawks game over that. I was kind of checking in the background, but I was mainly focused on the Hawks game because I kind of knew it was going to happen in that one. The ending does not surprise me. But yeah, I'll let you. I think you were talking about, so I'll let you continue.
No, I was just gonna say atrocious first period.
Yeah.
Just so like I said that to Tassos, and he was like, "That doesn't even begin to describe what that was." It was so bad. What were the shots after the first period? Like
They have one shot. You
11
only get one
1.
shot. That's what Eminem said. Lose yourself. And that was the Hawks for that first period. One shot on goal. That is embarrassing. 4 shots in the second. But check this out. They had 20 shots for the game. Third period, they have 15 shots on goal, which is like as much as they get in some games. So, I mean, the way they play in the third, it's like it almost makes it more frustrating. Like, where was that the entire night? You think if everything going on, having all those cancer patients there, they would have had a little more motivation tonight. But it seems like it took them till third period to finally wake up, which normally it's the opposite. Normally we start games on time, then we collapse. This was literally the opposite. Yeah.
Shots were 11-1 after the first period.
Yeah,
and they were down 2-0. So the Wild had double the goals that the Hawks had shots.
That's
you
embarrassing.
can't really, yeah. I mean,
That second goal, what was that from Peter, man? That was sloppy. That was Swiss cheese there.
That was sub NHL goaltending.
Yeah, that was like last year's Soderblom. That was embarrassing.
it was a beach ball. I thought he ended up playing a pretty solid game outside of that. He's just so crazy. Like he flails around and just does the weirdest shit in that. It really, I know we kind of like, not like, we don't compare him to prime Jonathan Quick, but it's that same kind of like goofy style. So we saw tonight, and
he's like prime Jonathan Quick if Jonathan Quick let in 3 softies every time he was in the net.
Yeah. Speaking of flailing around, how about Nick Foligno on that penalty call there? That was pretty funny. I think you gotta give him the Oscar there. He's making fun of Kaprizov for the way he went down. It was like, oh. And he like fell back, was imitating him. The rest clearly didn't like that, and he gave him an extra penalty. That made it 4. The Hawks almost got through that 4-minute penalty kill, right? They do, right? But the Wild, I think, yeah, Erickson that got one like as that was expiring. So it's like if they don't call that, but yeah, that was kind of, I don't know what you guys thought about that call, if that was right, or Foligno, the extra call from the refs there, if that was a little soft.
Justin, I think you're bouncing all over the place, brother. Let's try and rein it in here a little bit. My thoughts on that were, though, that it was a good it was a good way to sort of like try and bring some sort of life into the hockey game, right? Like you're losing on all accounts, you're getting thoroughly dominated, and I don't know, man, like try and bring some spark like any way you can get it. I thought it was cool. Lee, I don't know.
I mean, it was boneheaded, you know, like he was being emotional, and like, you know, we ended up getting scored on like the last, yeah, as you said, like 30 seconds or whatever it was of that penalty kill. But yeah, I mean, at that point in the game, they needed something. And I guess if it's your captain, you know, putting on an Oscar performance, that's what it's going to take. Dude, I just like, it was such a pathetic first 2 periods. I don't know if I want to like tip my cap to Foligno for doing that. But I did think that the call was pretty soft. I don't know about you guys, but like,
yeah, maybe it didn't need the shenanigans, because obviously it led to another call where if it was just the one, they would have gotten through that penalty kill right now, and that's kind of what made the difference there. But at the same time, right, I thought it was kind of funny though, good meme moment there. So for me, you know, showing your frustration, especially the game is not going your way, I think that's kind of human. But maybe he took it a little too far though, and his brother definitely got the best of him to end up having an empty netter too. So he wins another Foligno battle there, Marcus.
All right, that's the show. We talked about the empty netter. That's it. Let's wrap it up, boys.
No,
I'm just kidding. No, just sticking on that penalty kill. That penalty kill like was so close to being almost a big momentum boost for them, and then you leave Eriksson Ek all alone in the slot. Like,
it was a good play from Kaprizov. That was a nasty.
No, yeah, but Vlasic has the stick on the outside, and you need to have your stick on the inside of the middle of the ice when that happens, and that's a misplay by Alex Vlasic. Totally, like just leaving your guy totally uncontested to be able to get like all of it on it. You know, I don't know, just
yeah.
soft,
I will
soft.
say, like, we glazed Vlasic a lot, but I will say this probably wasn't one of his best games. He had another play. I don't know if it was the second or third period. We just completely turned the puck over in front of his own goalie. So that was kind of rough. And yeah, that play as well. So probably could have been better from him. Seth Jones, though, how about that goal to start off the third period? A nice assist from Betsy there in the power play. Would have been nice. The power play could have been a little more clutch later in that period, because they had a few more opportunities there to potentially tie the game and get the overtime. Unfortunately, couldn't capitalize there. But at least that was good to see, right? Gave them some life, and they definitely carried that over the rest of the period there. Ethan Del Mastro, I think he's been very solid these 2 games he's been up here, right? Was called up at a good game the other night, and I thought tonight got an assist on that Nazar goal. You know, pretty solid there. I think he was one of the Hawks standouts there. If we had Ethan Del Mastro thumbnail, I think he would be the thumbnail for this video today. And I thought he was great.
Yeah, probably. No, what were you gonna say? You first.
I was going to say that we had 20 shots that game. It felt like more than half of them came from Seth Jones. After he scored that goal, he was shooting every time he got the puck. And maybe it's just like I'm just getting irritated at Seth Jones at this point in the season, but it was pissing me off. There was like a play on the 4-on-4 that like Bedsy passed it to him and then drove to the net, and he totally should have just tried flicking one over to Bedsy for a redirection. And he just stuffed it into the pads, and I was like screaming, like, dude, pass the puck to Bedard.
It's frustrating because Betsy's always looking for Seth, but sometimes it feels like it's not reciprocated, right? He looks off him, especially in the power play a lot. To answer your question, Seth had 6 shots tonight, so that's almost a third. So he was shooting the puck line. He had another opportunity pretty much right after he scored too, where he almost put that in as well. So otherwise, I thought it was a pretty good game, at least from the offensive standpoint from him, up in that trade value, right?
Did you see him level Devin Shore too?
That too is being physical, which isn't always Seth's game. Like, he definitely can be physical, but he isn't really that often. So that's good to see, right?
It was like, it feels like the Hawks, like I feel like I look at the box sometimes, like I look at the box scores, and it says that it says that, like, you know, the Hawks hit way more than it feels like it actually is when you're watching the game. Like, it says they hit more. I don't know if that's like, you know, the home stat guy like juicing up the hit stats a little bit.
Probably like every reverse hit, like every time they get hit, they're like, oh, you kind of gave it.
But it's even like not like a hit, dude. Like a hit is like a hit.
You
know? And
The
it
Hawk-
feels like
yeah.
there was just like there's a lot of like nudging that goes around in a Hawks game, and sometimes it feels like the hit numbers are a bit inflated.
It wouldn't surprise if the Hawks have more hits though, because you tend to get more hits when you don't have the puck on your stick and you're
True.
always chasing. So that's.
True.
But you're right. They do seem to be a little, I guess, more generous in what they
But
register
that was like a
nowadays.
hit. That Jones
Yeah.
one was like
Oh,
a
that
hit.
was a classic old school.
And
Yeah.
we really could use more of that kind of stuff, like a big physical play. You talk about like getting the guys going when you have an awful first period and like first half of the second period. Like, dude, we've got our defensemen are straight up trees. Like
They
we've
need to be
got like
using their size.
6'9", fucking 7'2", Kevin Durant back there, and we're not hitting anybody. It's like you don't, how about enough with the Oscar nomination, go into the box for an extra 2 minutes. Lay the body on someone. And like I would love to see Vlasic and like Crevier do it more too. Like set the tone. That's how you can like really change momentum around in a game like that, is just being like a little bit more physical and not leaving it up to guys like Ryan Donato and Connor Bedard both mixing it up with Bogosian.
How about that? I'm glad Betty stuck up for himself there, though. That was good to see. He's been more willing to do that this season, right? Not shying away from that stuff. Not that you want to see that, because you don't. You don't want to see Betty in those
I love it.
situations.
I
You
wanna
don't want
see
to
it.
risk injury, but like at the same time, you got to stick up for yourself in this league. But to your point, our defensemen have the frame to play that way, but it's like they play like me and Shell, right? Just spamming the poke check button, right? With the sticks, they're always moving their sticks around. But sometimes when you rely on your stick play and you're not physical, you're puck watching, that could kind of get you into trouble, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Ryan Donato mixing it up with Bogosian too on that play where Nazar scored. I mean, Donato completely took him out of the play completely and really opened up the space for Del Mastro to make that move.
Mhm.
And supposedly tonight, I heard that there were like several NHL scouts from various different teams, like 5 or 6 different teams represented at the United Center tonight watching.
Scouting Ryan Donato.
I mean, I hope they were
Seth
watching
Jones.
because I thought he played a pretty damn good game tonight, and like that's what you get from Ryan Donato. Cheap contract, bottom 6 scoring, brings a little bit of a tenacious physical edge. I feel like why would some of these teams not be salivating for a guy like that? I thought he had a good game and raised his stock again a little bit.
You think he could fetch more than a third? What Hall guy? I think he could get a second potentially.
No.
No,
No.
at this point, no.
Yeah.
Just seeing where the market's at, and like, we retained half of Rantanen's salary, and gave up Hall and just got like our own third back. So
Yeah, what do you think about that? Because you weren't here in the post game yesterday. What do you think about that trade?
I think it's like as good as we were realistically gonna get for Hall.
Yeah.
People are complaining because I don't think they understand like what some of these guys' values are. Like they just hear the name Taylor Hall and they're like, "Oh, you won an MVP," and it's like, yeah, he
7 years ago.
did that 13 years ago, and it's like he's had a down year. He just tore his ACL last year and was out for the entire season and has been in the bottom. He's been on the 4th line for the past, however many games for us. So like, I didn't think his value was ever going to be through the roof. And then taking Rantanen's salary, they ended up saving like
$1.5 million.
$1.5 million.
By not retaining on Hall, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then moved up like 20 spots. So like it was a good move from Davidson, but like I understand that like a lot of Blackhawks fans are like calling for Davidson's head, and so they're like, "Oh, Davidson fleeced you. Like, what is he doing? All this just for a 3rd round pick?" And it's like, dude, it's not like Davidson has a lot of stuff to move that's like super valuable.
Yeah,
like
it doesn't have a lot of I guess leeway in the negotiation table there, right? Yeah.
like pretty much all of our assets are guys that we would deem untradeable anyway. So it's like, you can't expect too much, but at the same time, like, let's see more of it, like that better not be the end of it. I want to see more moves. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see what he does with Donato. Something that you guys didn't really talk. I listened to your post game that night. Moving Martinez is probably going to be pretty hard. Like we've got 1 retention spot left. And so if you're going to use it,
I don't think they're going to move him.
Yeah, no, I think they said
I
something
was
about that
going to say, like, if you're going to move Jones, you're not going to be able to move Martinez. And then vice versa. If you move Martinez, you're not going to be able to move Jones unless you're planning on not retaining for Jones.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, we were wrong, or I was probably. I think I probably said that, so I'll take the blame for that because I think they even said that they're not planning on moving on from Martinez
Yeah.
there, which wouldn't make a lot of sense. But to your point, another positive part of the Hall trade too is it opens up a roster spot, right? And they're using that, right? They just called up Landon Slaggert, another young player, right? This roster is going to look a lot different, especially as a college season's ending. We're going to see guys like Moore and Menzel probably at the end of the season. So just good to get more of these young Hawks like core members instilled and developing the rest of the season, right? That's what it's all about there. Not playing these washed vets who have no future here. So I think that's another part of it that Hawks fans aren't really considering here. We'll see him on this road trip, by the way, Slagger. If you've been watching the show for a while, you know it's a guy I've wanted to see up here for a while. He's had a good season in Rockford, so good to see that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the roster getting younger is something we've all been anxiously hoping and waiting for. So it'll be nice to see that. And even like tonight, it's just like it's so nice having this many young guys up already because tonight the first two periods were brutal, and then Sorensen kind of started putting the lines in the blender a little bit, like towards the end of the second. And so we saw like glimpses of like Bedard and Doc together, and like Bedard with Reichel. And so, like, it's so nice that you can move Bedard and Nazer around, and wherever you move them, they're also playing with young, fast, dynamic players. So I think the more we have of that, the better.
I think the Hawks have like 923 players on this roster now, so that's just great to see, right? It makes this team more fun to watch even when we're losing because we're literally witnessing the future, right? And it's on them to take over this games and transition this team, right? So it's good to see.
All right. Do you guys want to talk about the game or do you guys want to not?
Should we do some wild talk?
Yeah, I mean, I had some thought, like, I don't know. I don't feel like we really talked about, like, just how bad those first two periods were. I don't know. I mean, I did have some things that I took down, Panger saying at one point in the broadcast that, like, the D is not moving the puck up quick enough. And you either have to move pucks up quicker or your forwards need to get back down lower, and that this like stretch pass stuff is like not working out, and it's not. And I don't know why you got guys hanging at like the other neutral zone when, the puck's all the way back at your end. It's not really my favorite sort of breakout style.
With the stretch pass thing, like, you can't have all three forwards camping out on the other team's blue line. Like you're completely right. Some of those guys need to drop back deeper. And the stretch passes do work sometimes when it's like Vlasic passing it up to like Bedard or Nazar. But like other than that, I feel like it doesn't
But
work.
it can't be your go-to. It can't be your go-to.
No, no, I agree. They need to find a way to get out of their own zone better, and then they need to have better possession in the O zone. It's like you're not just gonna rip shots from the blue line if you don't have any possession. Like you're getting outshot 11-1 in a period because you can't control the puck at all. And so I think like that stuff is fixable. Like that's not something that you just tip your cap and you say, "Oh, this team's terrible," and like you can't. It's like we saw them do it in the third. Like they started to put it together. It's just like not being able to do it for three periods is killing them every single night.
In terms of wild talk, I don't know about you guys. I'm glad this is the last time we have to watch it this season because it has not gone well. 3 or 4 losses in like post dynasty era, they have absolutely owned us, dude. Like they took all those playoff series personally that we used to own them back in the day. So I mean, honestly, I don't even think they played that well tonight, as much as we just played poorly, especially those first 40 minutes as you referenced, right? They were in a back to back too, right? In the third period, I think if that started to show, and we started to show up there, but it's like definitely a tough one, to come away with here for sure.
Well, I think I mean, they did kind of start to collapse in that third period a
That's
little
what I
bit.
mean. Yeah.
Just it came to life. I couldn't believe that their power play is only 24th in the league, though. Like, I feel like they have so much talent, and like it looked good against us tonight. Like I felt like they were snapping it around, and Kaprizov's one of the most creative players in the league. So I was pretty stunned to hear that their rate is that low.
Yeah, that is a little surprising there. Also, they said in the show, the Wild are best road team in the NHL. Is that right? Pretty sure they said that in the broadcast. So that's, I mean, I guess that doesn't shock me. They're up there in the league, but I thought that was an interesting point there.
Yeah, I don't
Are
know,
they
dude.
are they a Stanley Cup contender?
Yeah, 18-5. Look at this. The Wild are 11-12-1 at home, below 500, 18-5-3 away. That is wild. Well, no pun intended there.
Oh my God.
I didn't even intend that one. I'm cooking there.
stinking it up at home though. But do you
It's kind of weird because the XL Energy Center is normally like a pretty good barn.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the best in the league.
fans are
I've been
crazy.
there. Hell of an arena.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of like bummy for the fans in Minnesota.
Yeah,
Um,
but I will answer your I do think they're in that group of Stanley Cup contenders. Like I put them even, we talked about this on Friday's show right before when we were talking about Mikko Rantanen right before he was traded. I asked you guys like where do you put the Colorado Avalanche on your list of Stanley Cup contenders? I probably put the Minnesota Wild ahead of the Colorado Avalanche in
Ooh.
that list for me, just because they're deeper. They're the goaltending's better. Like Philip Gustafson's quietly been one of the best goalies in the NHL this season. The defense core is like they're just way deeper. Like on defense,
So
in their
much.
forward group, like it's not even close. The high end skill obviously isn't there like the Avs, but the only thing is like they're gonna either get caught playing. I think for them they'd rather play the they'd rather play the Minnesota Wild. They'd rather play the Winnipeg Jets in the first round than Dallas. Like no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's a fair point there. Yeah, I'd say in terms of top end too, like losing Rantanen will hurt them a little bit there. Nate Chess did have 2 assists there. I think he's going to be a better fit there than people think, but you can't replace Rantanen though. So I do think that probably hurts their chances there come playoff time. Drury had a goal today too. He was the first one that trade to register a goal there. So clearly they must have they came away on top there, I guess.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like there's really no way they don't play Dallas though in the first round.
Well,
Like,
Dallas would have to win the division.
yeah, or
It's a 4-game gap right now, so 8 points. So
or they
I,
would have to slide to like a wild card spot.
I think Dallas is a stronger team built for the playoffs than the Jets. I'm still not
yeah,
sold on them. I'm telling you, especially because they always overwork Hellebuck, right? That could cost them come playoff time if he's not the same, right? They're going to have to rely on him, which hasn't really worked out for them the past few seasons. And just Dallas, I just think they just have no weaknesses there. They feel like they're due. They're the Canes of the West. I feel like both teams are like one step away. They've been so close. It feels like could be the matchup this year. I feel like good chance.
That was Winnipeg Jets talk.
yeah, that was Jets talk on a Hawks Wild game.
Do
Also,
we
some Avs talk thrown in there too.
we like to sprinkle our Central Division foes talk throughout our post games for all those listening. If you did not know, do we want to do a little Nolan Allen Del Mastro talk?
Yeah, I thought they were pretty solid. I mean, in terms of a lot of the defense struggle, but I thought they were a decent pair tonight, especially Del Master. I think he's just going to help out Allen's game too. I brought this up before. They played together a lot in Rockford, so I think they complement each other well, and hopefully that could be a good third pair for us. I mean, of the D pairs, I thought they were probably one of the better ones tonight.
They were on the ice for the first two goals.
Yeah, maybe not the start of the game, but the end of it, we started to see them come through. Yeah.
Yeah, because that I think it was the second one was like a pretty brutal turnover, to be honest with you, from Nolan Allen. And I was prepared. Like after those first 40 minutes, I was gonna kind of dog on them a little bit. But then obviously Del Mastro had that sick move to lead to that Nazar goal. But I want to see them play together a little bit more. Like keep TJ Brody out of the United Center for a while, and let these guys play a few games together. Obviously, they spent a lot of time in Rockford, so give them several games in the NHL. It's like get used to the pace and playing together, and see what happens. Because I think Del Mastro has had a pretty good 2-game stint, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel?
Yeah, I agree. Let's see it out, right? There's no reason this team needs to be playing TJ Brody anymore, right? Unless we have to, right, with injuries or whatnot, there's nobody else available. Like he should be sitting out. I don't care about the contract, what he makes, yada yada. But he's a veteran. I'd rather see these young players make those mistakes and grow and develop versus seeing him out there being a plug every night. We complain about him pretty much every time after every post game win. So yeah, I think that's the right call.
What are we gonna do about TJ Brody? Or is he just gonna be like the Sheriff McMorrow stint?
Might have to buy him out because like I don't think they could take another season of him. I think they have to do something about that. I mean, it might cost them a bit, but I mean, do you all want to watch another season of TJ Brody in this team? I don't.
No.
I think they got to find a way to solve that or waive him, figure out something because yeah, you can't just do nothing about it.
If they don't, it's gonna be like Sean McMorrow on the Chicago Wolves, where he's just getting paid all this money to just sit and eat hot dogs in the stadium.
Don't disrespect Sean McMorrow like that. He clears TJ Brody.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I clear TJ Brody. You clear TJ Brody.
I don't even know how to skate.
Yeah, you'd still be more useful than him.
Um, Pat Maroon tonight. I feel like this needs to be a point made. I thought he had a pretty good game, but I feel like he just like every game or two, he'll just botch like two grade A opportunities from Bedsy because it feels
Yeah, I
like
found
Bedsy's
him.
always getting double shifted on
With the
Maroon,
fourth line, yeah.
and they'll just get set up in a perfect spot and then just put it right in the pads. It's like, dude, like he did draw one of the late penalties. I don't think it was the
He had a
power.
bit of scuffle at one point, right? Maybe it gave us some energy there.
Yeah, but it's like, dude, this guy is like, I don't know. I can't keep making excuses for him. I don't know if you guys feel like he should be in the lineup, but it's like,
No, I don't know.
Hopefully he's a guy that's gone the trade deadline, right? Hopefully somebody will want him, right? For a bag of pucks.
who's, do you think a team is going to want him in the playoffs?
Yes.
Like,
Every
really?
every year somebody always picks him up.
No, you say every year. No. But it's like, it's not, this isn't this is like the oldest he's ever been. He's old as shit. Like he's 36. This is
Logically, it doesn't make sense, but just history shows us people like, his veteran presence in the locker room come playoff time, right? He's been a lot of cup winners. He has that experience. He doesn't have to play every night, right? I'm sure somebody will take him for whatever, seventh round pick or something.
Yeah, and
Future considerations.
so yeah, no, especially just because the first game of the playoffs is always the most physical game of the playoffs too. So you're gonna try and bring him in here to mix it up. It's like, certain tough guys in the lineup, like is Matt Rempe going to be in every New York Rangers playoff game if they make it, Ryan Reeves, these kinds of players, Matthew Olivier, although he's kind of an important player for the Blue Jackets, so he'll probably be in there every game. But you get the point that some guys, aren't everyday players anymore. Like, Pat Maroon is probably a 14th forward on a cup contender, maybe. Gets in the mix if some guys get hurt, if they get, banged up a little bit. But yeah, no, somebody's definitely going to look to add him.
I guess, but Maroon's not really like the guy you're gonna like start a game one, he's gonna go out there and just full speed just deck someone. Like he doesn't really set the tone like that. He'll get physical in games as they go on. If it starts getting a little chippy, he'll like shove a guy after the play. But he's not really like a guy that's just wrecking guys on the boards. Like he's not like a tone setter in that way. It's like the other little stuff like after the whistle more so than like flying around and being competitive defensively and just like boxing people out. I don't know.
He's not as physical as you think he would be, right? It's not necessarily consistent. He doesn't fight as much as you think too. He's only had a few this season. Probably more instances he could have responded after big hits and guys like Bedard, etc., the young players, which is I thought why we have him here, right?
Yeah, he was throwing punches tonight though with his gloves on. Like I don't know what that was all about.
He snow showered Philip Gustafson pretty good too in the second period. That was nice.
Yeah, goalies never love it when you do that, right? But I mean, it'd be an annoying pest, right? That could be the role he plays, right, for a team that's looking for him.
Yeah, I did want to mention too. Tony Granato got a standing ovation during the game. He joined the broadcast for a few minutes. He battled and came out the other side of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So that was really cool. His older brother, Don Granato, former coach of the Buffalo Sabres, also beat cancer. That was like 15 years ago or so. Same kind of cancer too. So I thought I'd mention that as well.
Yeah, it would have been nice if the Hawks could have won for them today.
Yeah.
The crowd seemed like pretty into it. Like
there were a few empty seats though. I don't know if we're doing crowd talk. I definitely saw a few empty seats. It wasn't like the because everybody got like the I fight for whoever thing, right? And I saw a lot of those on some empty seats tonight.
No, it wasn't a sellout, but I just felt like the energy in there. Maybe it was because it was the Hockey Fights Canada night, and so people just kind of were just like pumped up from that.
Hockey Fights Canada.
Oh my gosh, Hockey Fights Canada.
It's like that Ron Swanson scene. How much postage does it cost to send a letter to Canada? It wasn't say Canada. It says, "Dear Canada, fuck you." No, we love you, Canadian listeners. We're just kidding.
No, but I felt like in the third, like they were on their feet. It felt like it was rocking a bit, maybe because they were just so starved for anything after the first two periods. But it was a little electric, and I was kind of like, "Damn, I wish I went tonight, low key." I know the football game was on, but Would have been a nice one. Had me up on my feet for the third.
No, they woke up in that third period. I mean, both those goals too came within the first 5 minutes too. So it's like they had the whole rest of the period to tie the game up. And I thought this was setting up for overtime loss. It was looking a lot like it. They had that power play late, but unfortunately couldn't convert, and that was the difference there. Unfortunately,
Yeah, that was another like you had the opportunity. You had the power play with the last 5 minutes, and then you got set up. You pulled your goalie, and then you couldn't do anything, and then they got scored on, empty nettered again. It was kind of like frustrating that like they couldn't they had it. It was right there, and they just couldn't get it done. So that was kind of a bummer way to end the game, honestly.
Yeah, no overtime loss point today. So the Hawks' 4-game point streak has come to an end, sadly.
That's true. We are climbing past the horrible San Jose.
Lost 7-2 last night. Absolutely embarrassing. Like that Letterkenny scene with the coach. Fucking embarrassing. That's a Sharks hockey for you. Well, that was us after the first 40 minutes, but we woke up a little. But man, it's like at least we keep our games close score-wise. They're not even trying over there, dude. Jesus.
I really do. Like it feels like we've been competitive in like every single game for the past couple weeks, and it's like the Sharks are going in the complete opposite direction.
That's like 6 in a row, dude.
They're getting it feels like they're getting worse every night. Like they're just getting pumped. So I really don't think that there's any way we finish below them at this point. Like
yeah, no, we're not beating them in the tank race.
And like also
could be a good thing.
People keep saying that, like, I don't know, they have so many more offensive weapons and stuff, but like I don't know. Frank Nazar is on what is it, like a 4 or 5 game point streak?
I think he's producing at a higher rate points per game rise than Will Smith right now, if that's the point you're going to bring up there. So.
Yeah, I just like him and Bedard have been absolutely electric, and like again tonight, that goal, I was screaming because I right after Del Mastro took that shot, I was like, oh my gosh, it's right there back door, and he fucking sniped it. So that got me on my feet. But dude, I want to see what this kid's gonna do for the rest of the season, because I tweeted out, I think I tweeted yesterday, or maybe it was 2 days ago. Just I feel like the sky is the limit as far as Frank Nazar's ceiling is concerned.
After Bedard, like he's the most exciting player on this team. It's funny because the media narrative has always been Celebrini has like weapons, like he has support like Will Smith this age. Who does Bedard have? Well, Bedard's actually been playing with Frank Nazar quite a lot, who Celebrini isn't always playing with. Like oftentimes they're on different lines. So I just find that kind of funny. They're kind of a little shift in that narrative there. By the way, Beds and Nazar look so good together too. Like they're clearly building that chemistry, and they've only been playing together for a little bit here. Just excited to see what else they could do the rest of the season here, right?
Yeah, I mean, another game of, another loss, but positives to be taken away. I mean, thank God for that third period, obviously, because we were pretty close to there being no positives from this one. But I mean, it's a classic tank loss as far as I'm concerned. I know that's loser talk in Tassos' mind, but I mean, hey, you got to take it where you can get it.
Right. It's funny. It's like I also reference it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing if Fish had the Sharks. I think we will, because it almost won't be a bad thing if they have the first pick and we have the second. Let them make that decision, right? We've talked about between, take it out of our hands. Schaefer, Hagens, get one of those guys at 2. Boom.
Well, they're not really making a decision. Like if they get the first overall pick, they're taking it. Schaefer.
Logically, you would think that. Logically. But do you think that's set in stone? They definitely need a defenseman. Yes. But you think Hagens wouldn't be a little, tempting?
Dude, this
Hagens, Smith, Celebrini?
This San Jose Sharks decor is shocking. Trust me, they are taking Matthew Schaefer. That would be criminal if they passed up on him.
I know, I agree with you. I'm just saying. I mean, they even said it though. Like this is like the first chapter while we're done. Seeing with the first overall is necessarily set in stone, right? It's kind of flip flopping. So logically, I agree with you. Like fit wise, it makes sense, but you never know.
All right, we're not sticking around for draft talk on a Sunday night post game show. All right, that's it from us. Lee will be live streaming the game on Thursday against the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll be back for a post game show Tuesday after the game against the Bolts. That will be me and Justin, and we will all be here for a podcast tomorrow morning, live show here on YouTube. Also out everywhere you get your podcasts afterward. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please follow us on Instagram. Excuse me, helps out a lot. Leave a 5-star rating and review. We also have a big announcement on tomorrow's show as well for all of you in the Chicagoland area. It should be a fun, exciting announcement. So be on the lookout for that. We'll also post that on Instagram later and all that cool stuff. All right, but that's it from all of us. I don't know if you guys got anything else, but I think that's going to do it.
I find it funny that the Hawks are playing the same teams they played last week, Tuesday, Thursday, Lightning, Canes. So that'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, well, live stream Thursday, podcast tomorrow.
Show tomorrow morning.
See
That's
everybody
right.
then.
We'll be there.